Coach Carrie Lohr from Wayne State University. Welcome to the BCAM podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So, Coach, we have an aspiring coaches program in BCAM where we prepare young coaches to become head coaches. And part of that is developing a philosophy. Can you talk to us about how you may have developed your philosophy, or what is the Wayne State coaching philosophy?
Well, in terms of the inspiring young coaches, I think that what's important to me is just really staying true to who you are, and and really be willing to roll up your sleeves and work. It's hard work, and it's a really a thankless job, I think. As rewarding as it is, it's also, there's a lot to it, right? There's late nights, there's, snowstorm driving, and there's, you name it, right? But I really personally got into coaching because I had really great coaches, and I was really fortunate to play for Al DeMont at Sandusky High School, who really, took an interest in me, not only as a basketball player, but as a person. And I was, a small town girl living on a farm, 2 older brothers, no one played basketball. And, if you look at the size of me, I probably should have been a soccer player, but they didn't offer soccer back then. And really just, it's people in your life, I think, that help you along the way. And it's people like Al DeMont. It's people like Fred Shaw, who was a very active BCAM member for years. In fact, Fred Shaw took me to my very first BCAM clinic, and it was in Lansing at a hotel. And I remember going there shortly after I graduated from college, and it was a little overwhelmed. It was a very male-dominant organization. There just weren't many, and only because there weren't very many female coaches. But Coach Shaw really was instrumental in getting me involved and helping me to learn that there's other resources out there like BCAM to help young coaches along the way. In college, I played for a gentleman who is still actively coaching. So I think all 3 of my coaches, whether it's from high school or travel or college, were very instrumental in me getting into coaching. And all 3 of those people were very active in BCAM as well. So I don't think that that's a coincidence. Right. I think that BCAM works, and it's helpful, and if it can help a young female at the early age of 24, achieve their goals, I think it's a great organization that I really believe in. Yeah,
well, you mentioned BCAM, and we're here at the clinic, and you're a board member and very involved. Our first theme was being a lifelong learner, and how appropriate for being at a clinic. Can you talk a little bit about that idea, about being a learner? You mentioned some of your great mentors that you had, so certainly you learned from them. But how do you continue to grow as a coach and a professional?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, you have to be willing to be wrong.
Good.
And sometimes that's hard, right? We as coaches, we're supposed to have all the right answers, and we're supposed to be able to do it the right way and do it exactly as it's, designed in the textbook. And I think you have to be willing to be wrong and say, wow, I really liked that offense or that drill, but that doesn't work for us. It's not because of of what you're trying to implement, but maybe it's just not right, and maybe you made the wrong decision, and maybe you need to reevaluate. So I think that's number one. You have to be okay with getting it wrong, and when you do that, you really get it right. That's how I feel about it. I don't feel like you just walk out with this, lightning in a bottle idea and go, this is how it's going to be. You probably need to fail a little bit, and you probably need to, endure that you didn't have it right the first time, and all of a sudden it's going to emerge. And, people talk about a process, and I think that that's part of a process of being a successful coach and being a lifelong learner and being willing to give and take on some things, right?
Yeah. Coach, we can't thank you enough for joining us on the BCAM podcast. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
My name is Dan Young. I am the Executive Director of BCAM, the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. We are the largest coaches association in the United States. We believe that better coaching always matters. It's a really difficult time to be a coach, but at the same time, it has never been more important time to coach. We couldn't serve our coaches without the support of our sponsors. Rawlings, Huddle, Shoot Away, United Dairy Industry of Michigan, Ballogy, Game One, Barron Rings, Coaches Insider, Gatorade, and the Detroit Pistons. We encourage our members and listeners to support those who support us.